All right, we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Dennis Stoika with Modern Era Warriors. Welcome back for another performance coaching talk today on integrated warrior training. I'm here today with one of my students, Scott McKeever. Scott's been a student of mine for about 18 months now. He's testing for 1 and 2 at one time. We've kind of moved in that direction. I can have people test for their level 1 at 12 months, but really after about 18 months, they are ready for testing for level 2. So we just kind of like hold off on that and make them do it all at one time, level 1 and 2. So Scott's 58. Yes, 58. Our students they vary, really not much less than 18. 18 is really young that we've received in the gym. Really 15, 16 and up for the physicality of what we do in the gym as well. And we typically have students that are upper 20s to 30s, upper 50s, right? And I even have a student that is 70 years old right now too, right? And so if you're wanting to do it and push yourself and continue, you're good, bro. You're good. We just ate a little bit ago. Sandwich going on there. Big training day for us today, and we just ate, and now we're doing the podcast. But Scott, 58, married, 2 children, a daughter and a son, a granddaughter. Scott is a minister and also a respiratory therapist. He's a former police officer, and he's in amazing shape for 58 years old as well. So both of us, we're both in our 50s. I've had men and women in our 50s as well, approaching 60 years old. So age is not a factor as long as you're pushing yourself and you're willing to be 1% better every day in every way at all. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the older folks in the gym tend to sometimes be the healthier, more fit people than some of the younger people in the gym too. So, all right. Scott's got some great perspective from former police officer to a minister to being a father. So I plan on having an amazing podcast here today with you. So Scott, who is Scott McKeever and what is your purpose, passion, and your principle?
Well, thanks for having me on today, Dennis. I appreciate that. And, I guess that's the big question for number one. So who am I? So that's a lot of different hats. That I think we all wear at various times. And I think we got to move in and out between those things as husband, father, friend, neighbor, training partner. And sometimes, I kind of want to use the word integrated because that's our training's integrated. And so really life is integrated with, a bunch of different things. So, so sometimes I have to be a dad. Other times I have to be a grandfather. Sometimes I have to be a friend.
Yeah.
And so we move in and out of those relationships, and sometimes they overlap. And, that's something that I think as you get older, I think older people have a better perspective at different types of relationships that we move in and out of. So
I want to jump in for just 1 second when we talk about purpose before you move on to passion and principles too. So some of my coaching, I am a coach in multiple different systems. Unbeatable Mind, John Maxwell, Jay Shetty. I have my own integrated program that I put together from all my different trainings. And I've had others tell me that initially early on, you can only have one purpose. And I thought from the get-go, that's wrong, because I can have a purpose as a business owner. I can have a purpose as an FBI agent. I can have a purpose as a father, as a husband, or a family man, right? So I do believe strongly that we can have more than one purpose. I think you probably won't have more than 2 or 3 on a very large macro view, but you hit it by saying the hats you wear. I'm referring to your purpose, right? Of the different hats you wear, and you named a few of those. Yeah.
So as far as the purpose, Dennis mentioned some of the things I've done in my life, and I think most of those things have revolved around service industry. So police officer, public servant, minister, servant of God, servant of people to try to get them to a point spiritually. Respiratory therapist
in the hospital,
working in the hospital, working in the emergency room, the ICU. So that's a helping industry. So, my life's been revolved around service. I try to do better at that. Sometimes I'm selfish. Other times I need to up my service game. But for the most part, it's been the bend of my life. My passion is teaching. So as a police officer, I was an FTO, field training officer. I did that for 6-7 years. As a policeman for 11 years. At the hospital as a respiratory therapist. I'm a preceptor. I train students in college. I also train new employees. And then, of course, as a minister, teaching Bible class and sermons and preaching. And so it's in questions that people have. And I appreciate Dennis sometimes at the dojo when we're training, he'll say, he'll bring a student up and say, okay, teach this technique. And that kind of reminds me of something that we do at the hospital. We go with the philosophy of see one, do one, and then teach one. And so you're seeing it, you're learning it, and then to teach it. There's another aspect there that's going to help you to ingrain those things when you tell someone else. So
it's a different level of mastery. It is one thing to get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. It is another thing to be able to teach someone to get them a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
Totally different. Yeah.
The level of mastery that you have to have. This is why any senior student, they don't have to be senior like in age or senior that you've been there 10 years, but at some point, right, you will better master the understandings of concepts and principles, the intricacies of something by being able to teach it. It's just a totally different level. And whether it's martial arts, fitness, respiratory therapy, even perhaps in Bible study, asking someone else to come up and talk about something else today, and they're right seeing it in a different way.
And it takes you out of your comfort zone, and so then it forces you to. Okay, now I got to fine tune this. I know how to do the movement. Now I have to fine tune it to show this person exactly every single, break it down into every single aspect of it. So yeah, it does make a difference, and I think it does help. And so I know you do that quite often in the class. And so it's something I appreciate. So
yeah, no, you're welcome. And principles?
Principles. I think we all need to be truth seekers. And, that can involve every aspect of our life, but, there are absolute truths, and I think we should be trying to find those things. And when it comes, to Krav, I mean, there's different ways to do different defense techniques, but there's always some kind of basic. You talked about this is a Cro-Magnon technique, and I think what you meant by that, I kind of smiled but I think what you meant was like we go all the way back to the very beginning, and this is a Magma Man technique.
Yeah, it's easy. It's 2-3 gross motor skills.
Right.
It doesn't compared to some things in jiu-jitsu. When I said that, I know. Did I say that today or recently this week? Yeah,
Thursday. It was Thursday.
Okay, so the bottom line is. Easy technique, right? Something that doesn't require lots of gross motor skills, something that you're going to be able to learn, do a few times. If you're in the gym in 6 months or a year, if you come to a camp and you get 24 hours of training, something like that, it doesn't take a lot of time to develop the muscle memory with 2-3 gross motor skills versus like learning a triangle and someone even doing that for 6 months and then having to be able to recall that and do it like a harder Brazilian jiu-jitsu technique, right? So.
Especially if it's under stress.
Yes,
it's a lot easier to do.
100%.
Very
100%. All right. So moving on, tell us about your integrated warrior training journey. We're coming up to 18 months. We trained a little extra time today. I had no ladies class today, so I asked Scott to come in. Scott's getting ready to test. Did a fantastic job. Tell us about the training, the Krav, the functional fitness, the challenges. Half a mile barrel crawl, 30-45 minute burpee of planking, or 30 minutes of burpees, or whatever. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I've always been interested in fitness, and that's something I can go back to. One of my mentors, my older brother. So I've always had an interest in fitness and martial arts. And I did have a couple setbacks. 19 and 20, I had detached retinas. I had surgery, which I, told Dennis about when we started the training. So protective of my eyes in class, but everything's good. But after that, kind of a scare, I kind of like, I really want to get back into martial arts, but I didn't want it to be the traditional kind. And so I was looking for something different. And so just kind of by chance, internet search, I found Dennis. And, I called him and came to class. And I think it was like a week tryout kind of thing, which I think you've kind of changed now, which I want to discuss later. But you had me hooked, and you had me hooked by two things in the Cro-Magnon area, the caveman area. Two things, which one was the X shield and the other one was the helmet. And two very simple techniques that you can put in your toolbox and teach in just a few minutes. But no one's ever showed me that before.
Yeah, and your years of being a police officer, right? And myself, for career in law enforcement, we're not learning those things. They're not teaching police officers even those types of things.
Just the simple thing to protect your head and actually cause damage to somebody while you're doing that. But you sunk the hook. You probably, I don't know which one we did first, maybe the helmet. You kind of hit the hook with the helmet and then really sunk it with the X shield. And not long after I was there, a guy came in and he never came back, which I found kind of weird, but he was in traditional martial arts, but we did surprise 2-person attacks, and this guy was like blown away. Yeah. It's like, I've never seen anything like that. And I'm like, well, this is the difference here, which was kind of really the difference for me. Not katas, anything like that. Nothing wrong with those things, but it was just a totally different direction.
And those things have their place, I think, depending on what someone's looking for, right? If people are looking for more BJJ, we teach BJJ and striking too. But we 80% of what I want students to be doing is the reality-based self-defense and the functional fitness. That's preparing us for that violent confrontation, right? We're investing, we're putting money in the bank, we're investing, we're putting time
tools in the
toolbox, right? And I'll take it just a second here too, because I had a conversation this week with the students about what is integrated warrior training and how I'm coaching, right? And I wasn't even prepared to even have this, but it's going to come, right? The bottom line is, in the integrated warrior training and the coaching, there's the hard and the soft. There is, I want to take you out of your comfort zone. I want to make it hard. I want to be able to push you comfortably, but uncomfortably, enough that you don't quit, but enough that you know that you're challenged as well. And that can come with mental and emotional training, where we're hitting you from aspects, not just the physical aspect, but mentally we're doing something to take you off of your game, or we're trying to take you off of emotionally to get you excited, worked up, right? Because in a violent confrontation, you're going to have calm in the storm. And that can come again through physical, it can come through mental training, it can come through emotional training, whether that's planking or intense fitness or spinning around a bat to get dizzy, roughing people up a little bit hitting around the body, right? Hitting around the body and slaps to the face a little bit. Nothing where people are getting, hurt, but to take you out of your game a little bit, getting cold, even a little cold training that we've done, right? And then challenges, whether they're, the challenges and everything is to meet the individual where they're at. So if Scott and I are doing, we did a ladder drill to 10, up to 10 and down to 1 today. With other students that were brand new that have never done it, went to 7. So it's about meeting people where they're at. Our 70-year-old doesn't do burpees during this exercise. He does squats. So people were challenging people with what they can do too.
Yeah. And that was my second thing I really had was not just the reality-based self-defense, but the fitness integrated into it. And sometimes I'll tell, my wife or a friend, hey, yeah, we did a half a mile bear crawl. And people are like, well, you're crazy. But, it kind of is. But if you're in a fight for your life, that's pretty crazy. Like if somebody's trying to kill you, that's crazy. And so just the confidence that you gain knowing that, hey, look, I've done other things and I've lasted and I can do this. And so it plays into the mental part that I've got some fitness that I can go a little bit longer maybe than the normal person. And hopefully that little bit longer, I can apply some techniques that will, get me out of this or solve the problem. So
there's no doubt about it, right? I made a comment about it today, and it's a comment that I've gotten from some friends in the service over the years. But right, strong people
are harder to kill.
Yeah. Strong people are harder to kill. I mean, and I'm not talking just physically. It's great if you're physically in shape, right? We encourage that, but you got to be mentally and emotionally, right? Mentally strong and emotionally resilient as well. All right. Why is our integrated warrior training essential to your own growth? And how do you reconcile being a minister or righteous warrior and a modern air warrior?
Okay, that's a good segue because this is kind of the last part of it. I want to talk about 3, but going into 4, the word integrated. I've implemented integrated things now in my teaching as a minister. I've recently done a 6-lesson hour class each lesson on the entire Bible to see how the books are all integrated together, how they all fit together, instead of just, okay, here's this book, here's how they all fit together, because that's how our life works. Everything's integrated into it. And so, so I think anything that we do, it's always going to be integrated. I mean, anything that we do, it doesn't matter what it is, but our mind's going to be involved. Our body's going to be involved in some way. And, and our spirit too. Is it right? Is it something that we should be doing? Is it not moral? Is it moral? And so all these things are always integrated. I have friends. I have a friend now, a preacher who's close by here, a friend of mine, and he's lost 40 pounds because we've had this conversation. He's like, I can't get up and teach about self-discipline if people are looking at me and I'm overweight. And so he's taken the steps to lose quite a bit of weight, and he's still trying to do that. And so I appreciate that people understand that you can't disconnect your body, even in the realm of preaching.
So I'm going to jump in here again real quick, right? Because in my coaching, I teach on big 4 prongs. It's body, being, balance, and business. And body is the physical, it's sleep, it's food and stuff like that. The being is my spiritual, mental, emotional, which you mentioned, right? The being is that, right? And so it fits all that in there. Balance is relationships and business. Whether you own a business or not, you still have your own household, right? That you need to take care of, and retirement, things like that, right? But that's where that fits in with us, with that being motion. Go ahead.
Okay. So from a biblical perspective, people say, well, self-defense and being a Christian, those things compatible. But if you read the Bible is warfare between good and evil, and especially in the Old Testament, which we don't live under anymore. But, you got great warriors like David versus Goliath, Joshua, leading people in warfare. And so a little bit different bend as far as the New Testament, but again, our life is integrated with our body, and we're body, soul, spirit. I had in Luke 2:52 in the book of Luke's about Jesus being the perfect human. He grew in wisdom, he grew in intellect, he grew in stature, he grew physically, he grew in favor with God spiritually, and with man socially. And so those 4 areas, the well-rounded square that I like to call it, is his life was integrated with all of those things about his being. And so we're to be blessed are the meek, not weak, but the word in the Greek is a word that means power under control. And I think that's what you teach in class. Look, we don't want to be engaged in the fight. We don't want to be in the fight at all. But if we have to fight, we can power under control. You take a little bit of gunpowder and put it in your hand and light it, it'll just go poof. But if you put it under pressure and put a bullet in it and put it in a chamber where it's under pressure, then it's very explosive.
So you can come up with a lot of words here. I've heard some other people say some similar things, right? But I want to be violent, but be able to control it.
Right.
And we don't want to be violent. I really should say, if I must, then I'm going to be violent, right? So I said this, I think, in my last podcast when we were talking about some other stuff too. The gardener and the warrior. Excuse me, the warrior in the garden. The warrior in the garden, right? I'm prepared if I must, and if I must, I'm going to commit violence, right? We're going to be hard, and we're going to do what we need to do, right? But then I'm going to what?
You're going
then afterwards I go back to being
go
my
to
nice
peaceful,
self again.
right.
We go peaceful, right?
Mhm.
So peaceful warrior. So good to go. Anything else to add there?
Yeah, and I think the modern era warrior, just the whole system appeals to me.
Mhm.
That I have tools to protect myself, but not just myself, but my family,
Yeah.
and my friends and other people. And there's been a lot of conflict and shootings and things. And at church, I have a personal plan for our congregation if there's an active shooter there, and I don't think God wants us to just be passive and take around. But I mean, I don't want to do harm to people, but I don't want my grandkids are there. I'm going to do everything I can to protect them.
So I have another very, very good friend in the system who is a pastor in Philadelphia, Alan Waller. It's largest church one of the largest churches in Philadelphia, and he teaches his students. He refers to them as armor bearers to protect the congregation as well, right? So I want to finish maybe this question with this comment too, though, right? So Scott, I agree that things need to be integrated. You're agreeing things need to be integrated, and the reality though is unless you have a coach that can look at body, being, balance, in business, or someone else as a coach, a teacher, a mentor to bring in the different books of the Bible to do that and help you understand it and realize it. People often don't do it. We're lacking. It's hard to be integrated. It's not easy. It helps to be around a coach, a mentor, a minister. It helps to be around a team, a community of practice. Congregation, right? To you can't do it all yourself, and understand that I may not be the best physically, or certain things happen in my life where I may be getting less sleep, but knowing what it needs to be in the buckets: body, sleep, food, right? Being spiritual, mental, emotional. And I'm not going to go into great detail on these coaching aspects that we do. I balance relationships with myself, relationships with others, business aspects, right? It's easy. I don't need to work 100% in all. We should be working in large areas, 2 or 3 as a coach, I say, but we should have a plan, integrated training plan for all of it. But I don't need to be growing equal pace in different, in all those areas at the same time is what we're promoting or I'm promoting as a coach as well. Anything to finish that with you, how you see integrated training?
Well, I think from that Luke 2:52, he increased. So there's a process of growth there. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's something that we constantly just keep showing up and working towards.
Path towards self-mastery.
Yeah.
1% better every day in every way is what I said. All right. So what advice do you have for men and women, younger or older, who want and need this type of integrated warrior training or training?
I think that something you've just done recently, and you can comment on this because maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think you've just recently went to a 6-week sign up.
Yep.
And so before it was, try it out for a week and see. So now you can take a month and a half and really kind of immerse yourself in the entire system. And then I bought into it right away, and everybody's not the same. So it might take people a little bit longer to buy in and to make a commitment. And I think that's a good thing that they can see a good slice of it, of what we do for 6 weeks, and then make a decision from that. Maybe after the first couple of weeks, you're like, this isn't for me. But I think if you keep with it to 6 weeks, and I've told some of the new guys, you guys are going to be hard after the 6 weeks as far as, your body and working out and stuff and, and doing some of the stuff we do. Because I remember when I was where they were at, I remember Saturdays I'd go home and I could barely move. But now I'm to the point where my body's more conditioned now, and even I had a level of fitness that wasn't bad, but I've even upped that.
That though, right? So plenty of people come to us and you did have a level of fitness, but I'll come back to
start where I'm at.
It's it is not, what we do is not normal. It's not, It's not even CrossFit for those of you that do hard, intense CrossFit, because the challenges that we place on people occasionally too, right? And mental and emotional, it's the mix of the reality-based self-defense, grappling and striking for those that 1 and 2, but it's different.
It's
right?
different.
It's different. And it's different because it's the hard and the soft. We don't do a whole lot of yoga. We should be doing more. Actually, I always say we should be doing. Every time I say we don't do a whole lot of this, we don't do a whole, because we just never have enough time, right? But it's the hard and the soft, right? It's hard intensity. It's training slowly. It's training hard. It's a good mixture.
I didn't know breathing could be a challenge.
Breathing can be a challenge, folks. Yeah, we have a nice little breathing drill, a couple breathing drills that we do, and breathing can be a challenge. So
it's different. Yeah. And I just say to somebody, if you're interested in doing, just take the steps, show up. I mean, that's half the battle.
Yeah, thank you. And then that's a great. It is.
And then the other half of the battle, Dennis will take care of that.
Yeah, no.
That's what he's there to coach. So you show up.
That is true.
And
the hardest thing is walking in the door. The hardest thing is actually signing up to come to a camp and showing up. 100%. People, I know people that have gone to events for friends of mine that own businesses that do certain things too. People will sign up, but they won't show up. They pay a lot of money and then they don't show up. Right? So believe me, invest in yourself, come and do it. Bring your family, bring your friends, come for a weekend if you're not close, right? And yes, so I used to give free classes. I know most of my friends are giving free classes, right? Whether it's a 10-day free trial, a week, something like that. I would say 2-3 classes, like stay for the week, right? And see if you like what we're doing. You don't have to pay for anything. But now, and I've thought of doing this for a couple of years and never pulled the trigger to do it, and I've done it. No, 6 weeks. If you're interested enough, 6 weeks now, and you pay for the 6 weeks. And if you're interested, then that money goes towards your year for the year program. And yeah, we ask people to stay on for a year. If you can't do that, we have camps. We have 4-day camps and 2-day challenges. We have private intensives, and we have our online university, right? So you got to devote some time for that self-mastery, and you got to dedicate some time to yourself, right? So I don't want to be training. I want to be training people that are invested in themselves and their own growth. I don't want someone to be in the gym for 2 or 3 months and then there's softball season or whatever, right? Then I have a different program for those people. They can come to a camp. This way I can devote time appropriately for the people that want and need that more intense small group training and stuff that we do too. So, all right.
Let me just one, I've found value, I guess that's the word, in this training, because Dennis takes a lot of time individually with you and even outside of class. And so it's not just like, okay, here's the times between here and here. I mean, we do have times between here and here, but I mean, there's a value of just him pushing and trying to progress you to a certain spot, which is just it's a continual journey. It's never really a destination.
It's never and we should be enjoying the journey. Hey, we're falling behind on time significantly, so we might have to skip a couple questions that we had planned. But has our Modern Warriors Online University been a useful part of the integrated warrior training? And how can online and in-person training be beneficial? Kind of quick.
I'll just keep this one quick. I just say, from a police officer perspective, it's your backup. So you get the hands-on training, one-on-one in the group, but then you can go back. Oh, I forgot some of that technique. I don't remember what do I do after I do this. And so you can go back, pull it up, look at it and go, oh yeah, I remember that now. So I just call that backup. And again, in value in that, when you can train by yourself at home or with somebody else.
And some stuff that's in there that's not there's online is top 20 yoga, top 20 sandbag, top 20 all the instruction you can watch yourself to become better at swinging a kettlebell, a sandbag, yoga, the breath work. And there's some challenges and tons of fit. And if you miss class, you can even jump it up. So let's move. Who has or does inspire you?
Go. I would just say folks that are overcomers. I like all kind of stories where folks have overcome, maybe special needs people or handicapped people where they've overcome. And there's just too many people that sit at home that are able to do things, but they don't do anything. But then you have people that really, you would think, well, they should stay at home, but they don't. They pick it up. And so I think probably on top of my list would be Jesus and, what he did for us and, how he overcame the challenge to go to the cross for us. But my brother, my wife are all sources of inspiration for me.
What else do you like to do? Motorcycle ride?
Motorcycle ride. I take trips with my retired cop buddies. We go out west and go different places. I like music. I like playing my guitar and bass. Not the best at it, but I like it. So it's enjoyable.
We need to get back on the bike again one or two times as well. We went out one time last summer. So tell us about your book briefly that you recently wrote.
Well, I wrote a chapter for a book for a lectureship program that the West Virginia School of Preaching puts on, which I'm an alumni and a graduate of in 2000. But I'm also working on a commentary for the Book of Revelation. So I'm about 3/4 of the way done with that. So I'm still working on that. So
interesting. Just more interested in writing as we've gotten older, or?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know how good I am, but I have a lady that in the congregation that's an English major, so she proofreads my stuff.
Got to have a good ghostwriter and editor that helps you write. All right, last two questions. Fun ones for the day. If you had to be shipwrecked on a deserted island, but all your human needs, such as food and water, coffee, whatever, like your needs are taken care of, what 2 items would you want to have with you? I know what one of them probably is.
All right. Well, don't tell my wife, but I'd have to have my cat and my guitar. So anything else if I could get 3, maybe I'll take my wife. All right. Amy, I'm sorry.
Last question. If you could have one superhero power, what would it be?
I'd love to sleep for 8 hours straight. That would be like a total superhero power for me.
Awesome.
And I think we've talked about I'm a really light sleeper. Yeah. You sleep a little heavier and get some deeper sleep. Yeah. But, I think sleep's really important to integrate into our training because we work our bodies hard and you need to shut it down and get some sleep to rejuvenate.
So. No doubt about it. It's important as part of that body that we do in our coaching. Sleep to get 7 or 8 hours if you can is really the minimal. A lot of people are functioning under 5 or 6 or less, and not solid sleep. Or taking naps is great if you can, but it will affect you. And if you don't, because you think you're young and you can do it, you're wrong. You're wrong. So hey, our time is up. We're just beyond 30 minutes. I want to thank Scott for being here, sharing his stories. We're going to have some additional students or clients that had coached in the past to come on board to talk about some of their experience as well. Awesome. You know the drill, right? Here we go. Train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life. Take care, everybody. See you in the next coaching talk.